This is Saints 4 Takeaways, sponsored by American Men Roofing.
Now, lots to unpack in this one. The fact is, though, the Saints went toe-to-toe with the Super Bowl favorites for 3 quarters. And I believe if not for Mark Ingram's fumble at the end of the third quarter, the Saints likely would have won. Now, the way it unraveled in the fourth quarter was hard to watch, but there are positives coming out of this game. In fact, there are several of them. But let's start our 4 takeaways from this one with what everyone will remember from this game, and that is the fight. I think I could do 4 takeaways just on this. Now, first of all, the NFL correctly suspended Mike Evans, and only Mike Evans, for 1 game, saying your aggressive conduct could have caused serious injuries. Now, if the refs were going to toss Marshon Lattimore for the chirping that led to the fight, then they definitely should have also tossed Leonard Fournette for actually pushing first and starting the fight. And because the Saints were already without Paulson Adebo for this game, I think losing Lattimore hurt the Saints more than Tampa losing Evans. And I just find this part of the fight very funny. Tom Brady was in the middle of it. Brady's 45 years old. He has mountains of money, and he is not backing down. Look, I know hating on Tom Brady is sort of an American tradition, but part of the reason he's been so successful is because in his 23rd NFL season, he's still that guy, although he was out of the way by the time the actual fighting began. At number 3, we saw evidence of how good this defense can be. I think in 2 games, DeMario Davis and Pete Werner are playing out of their minds. On their first 7 possessions, and I'm not counting the kneel down at the end of the first half, the Tampa Bay Bucks had 4 punts and 1 field goal, and that drive was only for 28 yards. The Bucks against Dallas running the ball, they ran for 152 yards, 4.6 yards a carry. As you can see, significantly fewer yards and yards per carry against the Saints. And Tom Brady's quarterback rating is a buck, 101.3. Sunday against the Saints, it was much worse. The defense was absolutely good enough for the Saints to win, and maybe lost in the fourth quarter collapse. The Saints actually ran the ball pretty well. The Bucks were 3rd in the NFL last year in rushing defense. The Saints ran for 102 yards, 5.1 yards a carry, which is solid, and that's without Alvin Kamara. The ability to run the ball has been a Saints strength for the last 5 seasons, and we saw signs that it can be a strength again. But at number 1, my overarching takeaway from this game, Jameis Winston just wasn't right, and it affected everything. Now, word broke pregame that Winston was playing through a back injury. By quarterback rating, this was his 2nd worst game as a Saint. And notice, in 6 of his 9 games in black and gold, Jameis Winston has a terrific quarterback rating, over 100. I asked Dennis Allen after the game if he thought Jameis's play was affected by the injury. He said, quote, "There's a couple of throws he missed that typically he wouldn't." Look, I understand why Jameis wanted to play through the injury and why Dennis Allen wanted his starting quarterback in there. But even before the disastrous fourth quarter, I thought Jameis Winston's decision-making and his delivery were absolutely affected by the injury. He just didn't look like himself. Now, you can hate on the Bucks all you want, but the fact is they are a very good team, and it's going to be very difficult to beat them with a quarterback who's not 100%, and Jameis didn't look close to that. Now, the Saints spent a lot of money to get a solid backup quarterback. If Jameis isn't 100%, or at least a lot closer to it than he was Sunday, I think the Saints need to rest him until he is. And Mike Thomas summed up all of it best in the locker room. He said, quote, "We can't wait to see them again." And that is our 4 takeaways from the loss to the Bucks.